Okay, welcome to another lesson. This is the fourth and final lesson on diversity of matter. And in this lesson, we are going to be looking at the basic needs of living things. So in our previous lessons, we talked about living things and non-living things, the things that living things can do and things that non-living things cannot do. Okay, now we are going to look at the things that living things need, the basic needs of every living thing, right? Now, the basic needs of all living things are food, water, air, shelter, and then the right want. We're going to take this one after the other, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So, food and water is the first we're going to talk about. All living things need food. All living things need food, and they also need water. This is to help living things live. Now, living things cannot live without food or water. They will die. Okay. So food and water help living things to grow well. Plants also eat food and drink water to grow well. However, plants do not eat like how animals eat. Okay, so you see that human beings can go to the market, go and buy food stuff and come and cook and then eat. That is not how plants eat. Okay, that is not how plants eat. Plants, as for plants, they produce their own food. And how do they do that? They use sunlight, they use air and water to make their own food. Okay, so plants get water from the soil, which helps them to grow. This is why we need water. We need to water plants regularly. Like I said in the previous lesson, if you plant a tree or a flower and you don't water it, it's going to die. Okay, so the plants also need the water to be able to live. Now let's take a look at air. So living things breathe in air to stay alive. Human beings and animals breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants, on the other hand, breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Okay, so what we bring out, the plant will take it, and what the plant will bring out, we will take it. Okay, so it is the other way around, right? Now, shelter and warmth. Shelter and then warmth. So living things also need shelter and a right warmth to keep them alive and comfortable. So for example, as pupils, we sing in the classroom to learn. The classroom becomes our shelter. Okay, when we are in school, the classroom becomes our shelter. When we go home we all go to different homes. We all go to various homes. So when you go home to the house that you go to, okay, or your home, that becomes your shelter. That becomes your shelter. So all living things need shelter. Sorry. All living things need shelter. Okay, all living things need shelter. What are the importance of these basic needs? The food, the water, the air, all of that. What do they contribute to living things? Now, basic needs help living things to stay alive, right? The basic needs, they help living things to stay alive. They also help living things to grow well. And then the shelter protects living things. Okay, for instance, if you are sleeping outside and it rains, you are going to be beaten by the rain. But if you are in a house or a home or a room and it's raining, the rain can't come to you. Okay, because you are protected by the house, the room, or whatever shelter that you find yourself in. Alright, now let's look at differences between living things and then what non-living things. Now there are certain activities that has been outlined at the first side of the table. So under the activities, we have movement, we have growth, we have feeding, and we have reproduction. So all these activities, we are going to look at which one living things perform and which one non-living things perform. So you can see that under living things, they perform all of these activities. So living things can move, they can grow, they can eat and produce their young ones. When we come to the non-living things, you see that They do not move, they do not grow, they don't eat, neither do they produce what? Their young ones. Well, this is the end of the lesson, but before we go, let's take a look at some of the things that are key and we should be able to remember them. The first thing is that all living things you see around you can be put in two groups. And I said they are what? Do you remember? I said all living things can be put in two groups. And these groups are, all things can be put into two groups. Okay, all things, so not all living things. All things can be put into two groups. And they are living things and then non-living things. Okay, now living things are the things that have life in them. Non-living things are things that do not have life in them. Again, all living things can be put into two groups, and they are plants and then animals. And then the basic needs of all living things are food, water, air, shelter, and then right want. I hope you had a nice time going through diversity of matter. I'll see you another time with another lesson. Until then, ciao.